Elizabeth Bernstein's fiction has appeared in the Los Angeles Times Sunday magazines, the SF Bay Guardian, the Tin House, 1111, North American Review, and other literary journals. She founded the Big Ugly Review, which you can find at thebiguglyreview.com, an online literary magazine.
Okay, is this a good spot? Thank you for inviting me. Especially thank you for those fabulous posters. I feel like my family, certain members of my family don't actually believe that I do anything, and or that I write fiction, and so I'm going to take the poster because I figure once you've been caricatured on a poster, they have to believe, right? We'll see. I'll report back. Okay. This is a short story is called The Small Earth Guide to Istanbul. Getting there. There is more than one way to get to Turkey, but the path of least resistance is Ataturk Airport in Istanbul, and why fight the tide? Let the sweeping hordes, this is a good spot, microorganize, okay. There's more than one way to get to Turkey, but the path of least resistance is Ataturk Airport in Istanbul, and why fight the tide? Let the sweeping hordes usher you across the vast expanse where there is no time and no space, where there's only white below, until white turns to blue and then to desert. Go with it. Leave the dishes in the sink. Leave the fern to turn to paper. Leave your ex-girlfriend's car at the airport. By the time she finds it, you'll be 9,000 miles away. Ataturk Airport, where the teeming masses spill out of metal pea pods and into the honking cacophony that is Istanbul. Hark, the minarets, the glittering Bosphorus. You will not be alone in Turkey. You will never be alone. Helpful Turks wash up to the arriving traveler in waves as gentle as a post-coital exhalation. A pattering of hands. Can I take your bag? Taxi? Need a taxi? Come outside, mister. Follow me outside. A boy with large brown eyes might approach you. You, bleary-eyed, from 14 mini bottles of Turkish Airlines Wild Turkey over ice, a measly $9 a pop. Don't judge me, intrepid traveler. A 12-hour flight divided by 14 is a mere wetting of the tongue. Something to lubricate the dry heaven air. Hey, mister, the brown-eyed boy might say, come this way. My uncle drives a taxi, cheap, not money like the taxi line out front. They'll steal from you in the taxi line, but you look tired. Let me take your bag. A tiny thing, a boy of 9, 10, it's hard to tell in his oversized khaki pants and tunic. You'll revel with your bourbon eyes as he hefts your bag with spindly arms and carries it outside, leaning his little boy frame to counterbalance the weight. Teeter behind him and out into the cool, forgiving evening air. Let the fertile scent from the Bosphorus drift toward you, envelop your creaking bones, welcome you to a new world, where there are no dying ferns, no Bluetooth harnessed to your ear, no beleaguered editors with succulent thighs who say, yes, 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 and then delete you like so much deadwood. Follow the boy, follow your bag, to an ill-shaven man in a brown sport shirt that strains over his pot belly as he feeds your suitcase into the dank trunk of a Volvo, circa 1985. Do not let this irony escape you, for that was the year you began as a travel writer. A toss of blonde hair danced across your forehead. You had whimsy in your step and a jaunt in your gait. A certain dimming of your brown eyes made women weak, made them doff their sweaty backpacks and crawl into your sleeping bag at youth hostels in Jaipur, Montenegro, Belgium. Let the record show. A climbing guide to Patagonia, pocket vineyards in Languedoc, aquamarine caverns found only in Croatia, You led intrepid travelers to them all. And Melinda, valiant editor back home, well, she cleaned up the prose. She parsed out the piddling advances. She even wheedled Bob Prentice, bulbous ass and self-proclaimed magnate of a slowly imploding empire, into signing off on overdrafts when the cash flow ran low before the Aeroflot made it home. Beguiling Melinda, you hadn't known what she was capable of then. Be grateful for the epiphany that treachery often yields. Any man can be a sucker. Fear not. The tender folds of Istanbul will still embrace you. And so it is that you find yourself on a soft, cushioned seat with a beaded curtain swaying between you and the fat man in the taxi. Out the window to your right, the azure, snaking Bosphorus. On your left, to your bewilderment, the boy still sits by your side. His mouth is moving. Words come out. Rug, 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 he is saying. Do you want to buy a rug, he wants to know. His family has been making rugs for 3 generations, the finest rugs in Turkey. Bill Clinton bought a rug from him when he was here. You do not want to buy a rug, you tell the boy. You block out his chattering squall and let the words float up towards the roof, which you notice is carpeted itself. A black and white weave, a maze-like pattern, which swirls and eddies as the car spins around yet another cloverleaf. The seat cushion feels like an angel's bosom underneath your cheek, the dampness of your drool like nectar. Sleep now, intrepid traveler. You have arrived in Istanbul. Places to stay. Hotels, hostels, and tucked-away pensiones offer travelers a variety of soft landings in this bejeweled city. Might I recommend the Royal Sacred Harem Hotel, just across the Galata Bridge, with a stunning view of the Hagia Sophia. Let Ines, for that is the boy's name, take you by the hand and lead you inside. Down an entryway lined with a mosaic of ornately painted tiles, circles within circles of yellow and crimson stars, radiating out and drawing a weary man in. A bony man in a suit coat and thin tie sits behind the front desk eating corn on the cob from a plate lined with grilled lemon slices. His tie is crusted with green powder, perhaps pistachio dust, an echo from some distantly eaten baklava. A girl of 4 or 5 sits beside him, curled on a chair and swaddling a puppy who sleeps heavily in her arms as she eyes you with suspicion. Ines ignores the girl and talks to the man at the counter in Turkish, now a little businessman. He gesticulates and sounds irate as the two negotiate your rate and his commission. Go, approach the girl, reach your hand out to the puppy. Can I pet? Ask her. Humans can be so cold, so fickle, but dogs know only loyalty. Scratch the puppy's sleepy head. He blinks his eyes at you, yawns, and twitches his lip as he rouses from a dream. Name, you ask? The girl stares back at you. Doggy name? You say again. Ines and the man behind the counter stop talking. Babar, Ines says, like the lion. Turn to him and smile. Like the elephant, you correct him. Like the lion, Ines answers. Take the puppy from the girl and cradle him in your arms. Breathe in his musky scent. Wag your face in his soft neck. Drag your nose behind his downy ear. Feel the girl's eyes upon you. Why do people always think the worst of others, ye of little faith? Pat the dog reassuringly. The girl sits back in her chair, folds her arms, unconvinced. Ask the counterman the cost for one bed, one night. US $65, he says. You must negotiate this price. Every offer in Turkey is a mere opening gesture, an invitation to find a common ground. Answer, $30. 65, says the man. He scrapes at the green powder on his tie with a fingernail, picks up his corn cob, and begins to scan the newspaper. Ines spews a torrent of abuse on him, and the man does not look up at first, but tightens his brow and slowly pinches his lips. $40 US, says the man. US cash. Agree to this. Release the puppy from your grasp and write your name, looking up only when you hear the young girl scream. See the puppy wriggle on the painted tiles, splayed, dazed, and crying from his 3-foot free fall to the floor. The girl rushes to the dog and picks him up, screams through tears at the man behind the counter, who screams back at her and looks at you as if you are covered in shit. Don't dogs always land on their feet? You think you have heard this before, though now you realize that your thoughts may not be flowing clearly. Sign the guest book. Take the key. Follow Ines as he carries your bag to your room. Lie down and have a rest, intrepid traveler. There is still much to see. Shopping. In the morning, Ines hovers at your bedside, his soft and pliant hands pressing at your cheeks, your aching head. Wake up, mister, wake up, he says. Let's go buy a carpet. Carpet making has a long tradition in Turkey, with hand-weaving techniques traced back to the 12th century. Listen to the old woman at the showroom as she tells you this. Showroom really overstates it. It clearly is just a house with a tidy area in the front that's used to pitch the tourists who wind up here, and a giant loom in back, which you see when she opens the door and waves her hand toward it. A pretty woman sits on a low bench at the loom and she turns toward the door. She indeed weaves a rug. Lush strands hang above her in colorful bunches. Lower your eyes and cant your head just so. Ines watches from your hip. Smile at her in greeting, suggesting all that there can be between a pretty girl and a visitor who comes from far away. Hang lightly in the doorway as she stares back at you with blankness. Pulse limply in your own obsolescence. The girl returns to her work, and Yagmur, for that is the old woman's name, shuts the door and beckons you to sit down on the carpeted floor as she puts milky spiced chai into your cold, cracked hands. Wool rug, says Yagmur, wool rug. Use yun. She presses your palm along the pile. Oil, natural, small knot, fine and shiny. Say, it feels like cotton blend. It's wool, says Ines, indignant. He sits cross-legged behind you, sipping chai. He plucks a few stray fibers from the fringe and snaps his fingers at the woman, who pulls out a lighter that says, Blue Star Fairies, from the folds of her heavy skirt. Ines takes the lighter and flicks it to a flame and sets the strands in his fingers on fire. Smell, he says, wool. Smell the burning fibers. Wool, you admit, though you have no idea. Yagmur pulls a handkerchief from another hidden fold in her skirt and spits into it. She rubs the wet cloth on the carpet and holds it to your face. No color run, good dye. She smiles at you then, her teeth yellow but straight and her face soft within her flowing headscarf. High quality, she says. You buy. I don't need a rug, you confess. I have a studio apartment. I'm a freelance writer. You buy for your wife, says Yagmur. I have no wife, you tell her. I have no girlfriend. I had a girlfriend, but she slept with Bob Prentice, and she's not my girlfriend anymore. You buy for your girlfriend, Yagmur tells you. Feel the softness of the fibers, Let the intricate patterns of third eyes and Turkish junipers start to sway. Let an image flutter through your mind of Melinda naked on this carpet. She moans, rolls around on its mosaic, cries out your name in dark, throaty sobs. But no, it's not you she moans for. It's Bob Prentice's bunioned feet that stand before her, his fungused toenails digging into the carpet's vibrant pile. Telling us it's time to go. No rug, you say, no rug. Entertainment. Ines can sense your soured mood, and he leads you back to the taxi cab. He orders the driver to a destination in a rapid-fire exchange. No girlfriend, says the boy, no problem. The taxi cab drops you at an outdoor arena of some kind. A festival is underway. Crowds of people, mostly men, jostle and laugh at the edges while an old man dances to a young man's caterwauling horn and the bang-bang-banging of a handheld drum. Brown nuts roast in black kettles and give off a woodsy aroma. The old man raises his arms, a hand-rolled cigarette between his fingers as he turns and turns, bows and dances, and the onlookers cheer. The long metal horns whine, pierces your ears, and the drumbeat thrums. Ines negotiates a deal with the man at the gate, then pulls you past the revelers and down the dusty aisle of the arena, where men in green jackets mill about in the center, and the crowd bucks and cheers loudly in their seats. Finally, 2 elaborately decorated camels are led out into the arena, draped in magnificent fuchsias, purples, golds. 1,000 tiny mirrors jangle from the fabrics, and 1,000 tiny bells hang from those. The beasts huff and flare their nostrils and raise their hairy lips to expose their giant teeth. The crowd goes wild. Ines pumps his arms in the air and shouts. He turns to you and bares his own teeth, baby teeth, you think, with unrestrained glee. They wrestle, he says. He hoots and stamps his feet. To be such a boy, the world sits before him like a diamond mine, and in his dirt-streaked hands he holds a silver axe. What does the other camel do, you ask Ines. The men lead a smaller camel in front of the decorated 2, parade her between them, and then draw her back behind the barrier. She makes them horny, says the boy. They fight better now. A bell rings out and the camels crash into one another, dumb and panting, their heads bowed and necks colliding. They move in circles, one pushing forward, the other stepping back, around and around and around. Spittle flies from their mouths and nostrils, and dirt blossoms at their hooves. The drumbeat gets louder and the crowd roars, shouting, fists raised, raise your fist. Begin to yell along with the crowd. The long metal horns whine and screech as the drumbeat quickens. Choose the camel draped in yellow as your favorite and scream until your voice is gone. Stamp your feet, let the waves of exaltation lift your spirit. Grab Ines by the armpits and raise him high above your head as he laughs and yells and waves his hands in the air. The camel draped in purple finally stumbles, his knees buckling beneath him, and he falls. A groan escapes his chest and is quickly drowned out by the roaring crowd. Laugh until the tears run down your cheeks. He's on the ground now, pinned by the victor, while the men in green coats move in with their ropes and hooks. Shout and dance and holler until you see it. The vanquished camel's face, pressed into the dirt, huge and woolly. His dark eyelashes blink against the dust. His black beaded eye, deep and moist, peers directly at you. It is quiet then, just you and the camel, his soft brown nostrils flaring, and his heart that's beating gently in his massive chest. Feel the fire drain from your body, the elation fall from your limbs, even as you hold Ines above you in the sky. Istanbul at night. Istanbul at sunset glitters with the dusky glint of goldstone, the babbling of calls and conversations rise through the open windows of your hotel. Bow your head over a plate of saffron curry Ines has brought you. Let the steam and piquant spices wet your skin, dampen your eyes, warm your throat. Your trip to Istanbul is nearly over. Darkness settles in. Tomorrow you will leave Turkey. Tonight, a room, a desk, a tired fax machine to send back home manuscript. Let the record show that you have met your obligation. 4,500 words on time, as always. You have never missed a deadline. You have never made a promise you couldn't keep. Perhaps that meant you made scant promises, but it serves no one to overthink these things. You see Melinda now, her lip trembling as she sits on your rumpled bed, her nostrils quavering with apology. What was it that she said? Don't go, it may have been. Or was it, don't be such an asshole? In the end, does the difference matter? At the front desk, Annette talks to the bony man with pistachio dust on his shirt. The man won't look at him, won't give him his attention, keeps his eyes on the newspaper he holds between them. Annette presses the paper down and their voices spark into an argument. Annette puffs out his chest and the bony man slaps his face. The crack lifts your head from its torpor. Hey, you say. Annette begins to cry. The man waves his hand and lifts his paper, and Annette stands adrift, not a shrewd operator, but a dirt-caked little boy. This is not your business, you think, and yet you call the child over. What happened, you ask? Nothing, says Annette. He broke a deal. It's his commission, you comprehend. It's the price of you. Annette wipes his nose with his sleeve. Sit there, silent as a lamppost as he snivels. Dusk has turned to night now. An amber light from the sconces wash the walls. What would a kind person do at a time like this? Search your history, try to remember. Close your eyes and fall back in time. And then, yes, there it is. Slowly push the plate of yellow curry toward him. He takes your tinny fork and tastes the saffron rice, chewing slowly in his dewy cheeks. Ines lifts his hand and rests it quietly on top of yours, pats it gently 3 times. Blood pulses through your ropey veins underneath his tiny fingers. Getting away. Ah, there's no getting away now, is there, intrepid traveler? Did you really think there was? Wherever you go, there you are. Now the wings of Turkish Airlines reach out and lift you home. The minarets reach up and wave their plaintive goodbyes. The azure Bosphorus coyly curves around and sends you off with a sly twinkling of light. Let Istanbul release you and grow faint. Become a memory before the first wild turkey coats your throat. You can't curse a man to smallness, to parochialism. Let him wake each day feeling weightless, his eyes cracking open to the sunlight. The world is wide with possibility. Stay in the fishbowl of your circumstance, and you'll miss all of its wonder. And where is the beauty in that?